If you enjoy this content and are willing to help me in any way, please consider Patreon. It is a way that you can help me acquire more gear to test and review. I will post video reviews earlier on Patreon, including additional footage, testings, and additional thinking bits regarding gear I review. Thank you so much for supporting me. I couldn't wait to buy and review these speakers, as Chora 806 are one of my favorite speakers in budget level. I loved those speakers and have heaps of praise for them. If you are interested in me singing praise about these speakers, you can see the review on my channel. I will link it in the description of this video. So, I finally bought them and it was a rocky start to this relationship. Was it my hype, my expectations, or just lack of information on these speakers into how to create a loving, safe home for them? They were really shy when paired originally with my Arkham A15, almost as new environment made them uncomfortable. I still remember how shocked I was with the lack of verve and punch and how reserved they were. I was there on my couch looking at acoustic treatments and bass traps, thinking how maybe I overdid it and ate all my dynamics. Was it me maybe? Maybe I'm not used to different sonic signatures and audio embellishments. Doubt started creeping in about me and my calling as a reviewer. But I knew there are more to these French romantics, as they are part of a company with a deep lineage and experience, and these speakers have been loved by so many. So I need to think more about what is going on here to truly assess its quality for this review. Let's first see what Focal recommends. They say it works best with a room size of 15 meters, with a distance between 2.5 meters between them and listener. From frequency response of 55 Hz to 28 kHz with sensitivity of 89 dB with impedance of 4 ohm, but it can go to 6 and 8 ohms. This is a pretty standard game in this price range and my room does fit all these requirements. We also have aluminum tweeter, which by default in my experience have a bit brighter response into treble range. And F flux cones, I guess, which is when you strip it of all its fancy adjectives that Focal is explaining it, is a fiberglass type flux fiber, which is almost like a linen. And the texture of cones sure does look like that. It brings neutrality, stability, and precision. I should probably like this a bit, like a bit duality in a markup there of a treble and mids with the front firing bass. And yes, that bass truly benefits from a larger box of area. Okay, enough with the technicalities. Cut to the chase. What happened in my relationship after the first listening session? So, I appreciate the effort that Focal was giving me in keeping my attention. I could definitely appreciate how amazingly detailed it is, how it is approachable by cutting enough resonances to give quite a clear picture with a bunch of details to feast. I enjoyed that I could sit and really analyze the sound coming to me, and it is done in a very unintrusive way that I could spend a lot of time just hanging around and be in awe of all the tiny micro details and microtonalism I could observe and dissect. Look at this sax work in the background. Oh, those, like, look at these percussions, how are they there? Like, synth voices sound rich and dynamic, and who knows where they come from, but I'm first time hearing them. And imaging is superb. This is a bit of a trademark of Focal's, how well they show dispersion, but also how firmly they hold everything together to not become too airy. So that is a work of having more metallic tweeters that details a lot with a neutral mid cones. If that speakers are talented, they will create a sound that are capable to create a perception of a bigger sound stage. By hearing more, to us, the instruments get that third dimension, and better the production, the better are spatial effects of instruments set on their stage with lane and direction. The sound is rather balanced, too much in my opinion, and it bit ruins the fun. It is just that the dynamic verve of presentation lacks a punch and a drive. It is too clinical and dragging everything down. It is boring to listen. I want passion, drama, fire. But there is much as drama here as in library session. But I started to be more flexible in trying to find a common ground. I brought in the Audio Lab, Denon, Arkham, and Cambridge Audio. I started experimenting in positioning, in synergy pairing, and in stance pairing. And you won't believe how much a stand, height, and alignment change the sound here. Focal disperses sound vertically. It reaches dramatic heights, and the taller the stands, the more information will get lost. It just thrives on the stands around 50-60 centimeters, and it gives more verve as treble and bass couples better that way. Also, do not tow them in, as I wholeheartedly recommend for them to fire straight, because the high dispersion of these speakers will muddy the sound otherwise. And lastly, find the suitable partners. I grew over time to really appreciate the Arkham synergy with vocals, but I also really enjoy the Audio Lab and Denon pairing. They need a partner that will push all the dynamics and expose all its richness these speakers possess, especially around mid-range. Audiolab 9000A was a fantastic pairing. Also, Denon PMA 1700 and Arkham A15. There is a two ways to go with pairing for these speakers. The one amps that will even more enrich the speakers, or the one which will give more push in treble. Both of these amps really works great with these speakers. And once you adjust your expectations, spend time to know these speakers and these speakers to know you, find a great partner, live some time with them, and then the focal magic begins. I caught myself listening to Focal Aria 906 for extended periods of time without even noticing it. I started to be enveloped in the web of sonics this Frenchman is creating, and I realized how smooth and beautiful actually the sound is. I think the reason for this is how it ropes the mid-range into slowly descending on treble and bass on both hands, how nothing peaks, rather have this very balanced approach into slowly easing you into bass and treble. It is such a smooth operator that creates a feeling of familiarity and tranquility while listening to music. Mid-range is smooth, especially it is gifted in presenting vocals who are separating greatly from the rest of instrumentation, and how this lovely richness to them. I think when properly helped, these vocals shine and have weight and presence. Maybe not the most forward presentation, but it is there. And all of that is topped with an incredible imaging and soundstage, and what I mentioned earlier, the great insight and details. Those details around mids and treble show how insightful these speakers are, and it is what makes Aria so special. It could engulf you in the sea of sonics for a long time, and yet to be a very active listener as well, to listen for those micro details, microtonalisms, and any kind of production tricks hidden in the songs. It is amazing. Focal magic represents that love. I can say sort of like a dreamy love, as I cannot call it passion, as Focal is not so passionate, it is more dreamy. You will love to sit and enjoy listening music with these speakers. It's just really beautiful, smooth, and rich. One more point I have to add is how much I was surprised with bass. I had zero expectations out of it, and I was pleasantly surprised with the reach and authority of bass. I think this is thanks to bass reflex being stored in a rather large wooden box, so it allows lower end to have a bigger expression. It truly helped the music to be more grounded and present. It is still not something of a tower level or to not require additional subwoofer, but if you're not a bass head, and I don't see a bass enthusiast to go for these speakers anyway, it could really be enough for you. Let's get few real-world examples out of the way. Mars Volta, their first two records, are, in my opinion, the best rock records of 21st century. They are incredibly creative how they structure, play, and explore the sounds of prog rock. And their recordings are packed really densely with a lot of layers, both instrumentally and vocally. There is a fury of harmonic dissonances, savant musicianship, and just raw emotion. Now, the reason why I chose Mars Volta Francis the Mute is just that their music, an entire length of an album, have all. It has quite acoustic parts, almost singer-songwriter. It has these super complex prog sections, it has big highs with vocals colliding with orchestration, and even passage of ambient textures. I can assess its weakness and strengths here by comparing to results of other speakers. From the get-go, vocals do a great job into putting some order in chaos. These pentatonic scales and weird time signatures like 9/8 and 12/8 are fighting with vocals, and yet the Focal is allowing separation to happen. This is what great speakers are supposed to do. It is all how mid-range is filled with most details, that it pushes out on soundstage in a different intervals for a better timing. More warmer speakers would struggle here, but with balanced presentation, nothing is overwhelming each other and everything is heard really correctly and clearly. I wish that vocals were more forward and fun, that treble were more filled with information so things could force me to stand up when rush of blood rises to my head with all the adrenaline. But these are not that kind of speakers, but they kept me entertained enough to listen and observe. Also, when a calmer parts appeared, and this is where like a high guitar appears, who can sound very bright on some speakers. Like same issues I have with pianos, horns and violins in some speakers, they have been smoothed out, and that is the perk of smooth sound, how it shaves the highs, and it does that here. It is less expressive that way in my opinion, but it is far easier to listen that way. And let's talk about cons, and that is also connected to the Francis the Mute record. That record is built with tension and release. It is built with the recording stream of live instrumentations with dynamic range built to be played like a live record, which means there's a lot of raw musicianship to it. Focal smooths out that. Vocals shave high so the sound feels more reserved, more down to earth, and therefore a rhythmic section does not have that same impact that some people might expect. There is a deep in treble which is done to have this sexy smooth sound, but that comes with problems that these speakers are not that expressive in that part of dynamic range. For people that listen to a lot of jazz, you really might like the details and separation, but you might miss a bit of tension and drama of a very textured instrumentation played at a different speed intervals. Same with vocals. They are really nice and they are separated great, but they are not so forward and present. This is not a speaker that is a showman, rather than a part of a band kind of speakers. Vocals will not floor you, but they will do a good job in to separate and to be well detailed. And to continue on explaining problems of these speakers, I think the best thing is to compare it to two speakers I know so well and are similarly priced in this price level. And these are KEF LS50 Meta and Sonus Faber Lumina 2. For all these speakers, there are reviews on this channel. I will link them below. Let's start with KEF LS50 Meta, the ultra popular KEFs. Well, if KEF is not your cup of tea, there's a great chance you might not like Focals either, as they both have similar purpose to reveal and create insightful sound. It unlocks that hidden areas of your music that you did not know exist. But truth be told, KEF is a mighty informative and revealing speakers in this price range. If you like transparency, the black background, yeah, KEFs do provide more. But KEFs are also brighter to me. Focals are more fun, if I can say that, and the reason for that is that bass is much more better in Focals, giving lower end more meat and rhythm. Also, more smoother, balanced approach helps for more longer listening sessions with Focals. It truly helps vocals and midsection to sound beautiful. Which one is better? I don't know. That is on you to decide. It is what are you looking from speakers. If it is absolute transparency in details, KEF. If you want like this smooth and balanced sound, if you want this smooth and balanced sound, which is a bit contrary to high sounds of KEF, and better bass, then definitely you will go with Focal Aria. The next one is Sonus Faber Lumina 2, completely different speakers to this one. If you follow my channel, you know how much I love Sonus Fabers, and there are a lot of praise for them here. But sometimes I just miss insight and transparency with them. I love how beautiful they sound. I love how vocals sound amazing, how there is a passion and drive in them. How much I enjoy to listen rock and jazz and just music with drive with them. And not just like that, female vocalists sound amazing. To me, Focals are somewhere in between KEF and Sonus Fabers. For better or for worse, they are not as transparent and insightful as KEF, nor live, vivid and full of passion as Sonus Faber, but they have stuff other speakers don't have. They're more of a jack of all trades than these two. As regarding to Sonus Faber, they kill it with insightfulness and dynamics in mid-range. And bass is bigger in Focals, but fuller and weightier on Sonus Faber, which obviously have more warmer sound. Focal Aria 906 are great speakers, and they are for more patient listener who can wait before speakers truly bloom in front of him. But there are also speakers I cannot recommend to everyone. I love them, but it took me quite some time to truly appreciate them, as they require care in positioning and pairing. They really require utmost attention to not sound very reserved and flat. But they offer so much if you accommodate them correctly. From incredible extraction of details to smooth and beautiful sound to a great bass, it is all packaged so you can have a listening experience for a long time. And if after that you will ask for more and more. In my opinion, genres that thrives with these speakers are electronic music, classical, singer-songwriters, pop, ambient, anything that does not benefit from live upped treble and presentation. It does require careful pairing to create a cocktail of sound to be more live and upfront. And I believe that is like a half of the fun of being an audiophile, is a way of experimentation with sonic signatures and characteristics for you to find most unique sound which will fit for you and to build system around that. Otherwise, these are really dreamy speakers, which are smooth and beautiful. It will make your life a dream. It will relax you and teach you all about secrets of music. You will love them and cherish them for a long time. I can guarantee that. Thanks for watching my review. If you enjoy my content, please support me by liking, subscribing, or if you can, donating via Patreon. Even the smallest help is a big motivation for me to continue doing this and grow this passion of mine. Keep daydreaming and see you in the next video. Bye!